The coronavirus continues to send panic through global markets, although oil prices turned positive, with trading close to $54 and Brent just above $59 as well. With tens of millions of people essentially locked down in China, oil demand is expected to take a hit as well. Now, the sharp drop in oil prices over the past week and fears about a renewed oil supply surplus has OPEC Plus turning on the rumor mill again. An OPEC source says that the group will consider extending the cuts until June, while other sources said the group might also consider a deeper cut from current levels. The current deal expires in March. Nigeria has realized 201.11 billion naira from some cocoa preparations export in the last 2 years. According to reports, between 2018 and 2019, the country exported $238.08 million and $317.5 million to the Netherlands, Indonesia, and other countries, respectively. Also, the 2019 export was 25.1% above that of 2018. This follows high global demand for production of soft drinks and alcohol, chocolates, among others. An analyst from financial derivatives, NWACHUKWU MARVELLOUS, reflects on the latest developments on oil and several agro-commodities. Marvellous, good to have you with us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's look at the current dynamics regarding global oil pricing. So what's the situation there?
Okay, currently, oil prices are trading at $60, an average of $60, and this has not been the case for most of the week. Before now, it has always been below $60, and this is a result of the reduction in oil demand due to the coronavirus you mentioned earlier. And the coronavirus virus started in China. It's spread into US, Japan, and South Korea, and over 4,000 people have been infected. With about 100 people, over 100 people killed, mostly in China. And this has, most countries have begun to reduce their transportation, restrict transportation. And as a result of this, oil demand has been reduced, and so it has been driving down the oil prices. And if you can remember, something similar happened in 2003. That's the SARS. And it also the SARS event also reduced the oil prices, and because it reduced the demand for oil. So, but we've had the Minister of Energy in Saudi Arabia, which is the top oil producer, saying that we shouldn't bother, that the reduction in oil demand from China shouldn't be significant. But we'll just keep watching to see what's going to happen next.
Indeed, we'll keep watching. And, due to this up and down movement of oil prices lately, would you say, even be that as it may, the forces of demand and supply are actually at play here? Or beyond the geopolitical tensions here and there, the trade issues between China and, of course, US as well, which has thawed for some time now. So what do you make of that scenario as well?
I would say generally markets react to, they're primarily driven by psychological factors as well as sentiments. So when events occur, these events influence the participants' reaction. So I would say everything is intertwined. An event occurs, the market reacts to it based on their sentiments or psychological factors, and that's what has been playing out. So there's an event occurring, it should either lead to a decline in oil demand or an increase in oil demand, and it also affects prices. So it's all intertwined. Events occur and it affects the demand or supply. So I would say that the demand, the forces of demand and supply are also at play in the market.
Very good, Marvellous. Now, I would like your thoughts on natural gas performance so far. And not too long ago, there's been a little bit concerns about a transition from major fossil fuels and into the cleaner source of energy, as it were. And this has taken the global attention by storm. And thinking about that scenario and the current dynamics, how would you explain that?
Okay, presently, I think what you were talking about, referring to the 27 initiation, it's something that we are driving towards as a nation and globally too. And presently, natural gas is at $1.92 per MMBTU, and that's below our $2 threshold.
Wow. Okay.
So, and this is because most countries around this time, winter season, there should be an increase in natural gas demand. But this year, we've experienced that during the winter season of most countries, the weather is relatively warm. So because of this, there's a decline in the demand for natural gas, and it's leading to the decline in the prices for the natural gas. So basically that's what's happening now. And we hope that with time, the weather, because it's a weather issue, we can't really predict or say, okay, what's going to happen tomorrow. So, but we are hoping that things will get better and the market will be stabilized.
Very good. But production-wise, how would you, rate Nigeria's performance so far?
I think as at December 2018, we were noted to be, I think, the 9th largest gas reserves in the world. Okay. And so that's like, considering the natural gas production and natural gas market, that's a huge responsibility. So I would say this is going to affect our earnings when it comes to natural gas, because if we have too much to offer and we are not selling at the price that are above $2, that's like a decline for us. So we're doing well. I think we're doing well in the natural gas production space.
Yeah, still the fallout of the production space. There's also the issue of gas flaring, which we've been shifting the post every now and then regarding the emission standards towards that and to end it. But we're not hearing too much about that. What do you make of that as well?
Everybody's trying to be careful. So we just work with what the figures they give us, the information they give us.
All right. Be that as it may, your outlook on oil pricing and Nigeria's benchmark crude threshold as well. Are we still in the safety zone regarding what we've stipulated for oil performance in line with the global pricing as well?
Being in a safety zone, I would say, is relative, because as our budget stated, our production was meant to be at 2.18 million barrels per day.
All right.
And according to the quota, we're at 1.77, and our benchmark price was at $57, and oil prices are presently at $60. So it's like we're already at the shortfall production-wise, and oil price-wise, we are not in a good place either. Because earlier in the year we had situations where oil prices were above, trading towards 65 at the point it was 70, and if we could do that at 1.77 oil production rate, we could balance things off. But we're still at 1.77 and we're now at $60. That's not really, it's not really a good place to be.
Very good. But overall outlook, internationally, what do you make of it?
As regards our production?
In terms of the oil outlook.
This coronavirus again is affecting the market, and OPEC. There are rumors that OPEC would soon step in to deepen cuts because the coronavirus is hurting demand. So OPEC might still deepen cuts to reduce production to stabilize the oil prices. So and that's that's a bad thing for Nigeria, because that will be further cuts away from our 2.18. So we just keep looking.
Perhaps to a large extent we should be thinking about more the diversification at this rate to bring in more revenue, as it were. So let's take a look at the agricultural sector. What's the latest on wheat, corn, etc.? What do you make of it?
For wheat and corn, those are the grain market. Like I said earlier, market reacts based on sentiment. So the wheat and corn market has been affected by this coronavirus, people's perception. So after the US-China signed a phase 1 deal, China was expected to...
which was a serious bone of contention between both countries.
Exactly. So China was expected to buy more agricultural products. So globally, that was going to improve demand. So prices went up.
Okay.
So now that the coronavirus is affecting China and it will affect their demand, so the increase we're expecting in the demand is not really that high. So prices are beginning to drop below what they were earlier in the year. So and the outlook is that we're expecting that. With time, in the near term, the prices will continue dropping until this coronavirus concerns are eased out.
All right. Talking about cocoa production and pricing specifically, what's Africa's input so far? You can talk about Nigeria as well. Just before we launched your presence, there was an issue there regarding Nigeria. So what do you make of that?
For cocoa production, I think in West Africa we're the top producers of cocoa, and recently farmers have been complaining that the weather is not conducive, the weather is dry, it's warm, too warm. So that has been affecting our production this year, and this has also been declining the cocoa prices, and that's also not good because for our non-oil exports, that's like our top, about as at Q3 of 2019, cocoa took over 40% of export commodities from non-oil sector, and having this now decline in cocoa prices as regards to weather, it's really not a good place to be.
Yeah, it's a little bit disheartening because this is a product some decades ago used to be a core.
Yes, before oil.
Before oil, and all of a sudden, all of that just went down the drain. So it's quite unfortunate, but hopefully some moves will be done there. And talking about moves, Ghana and a host of other countries are having a cartel regarding cocoa production.
Yes.
And what do you make of their performance, and how does that boost competition? Not only for export, but within the subcontinent as well.
The cartel, when the cartel was formed, I think cocoa prices actually inclined, and that was a good thing. So it actually encourages competition, and competition is not really a bad thing.
Yeah.
It just keeps everyone on their toes. So if that cartel kicks off, and we as Nigeria will have to increase our own intensity of cocoa production. And I think cocoa, at least then, cocoa prices will be stabilized.
And to a large extent, it is even attracting foreign
investments.
So
yes.
to a large extent, that is a stable market on itself, if encouraged, as it were.
It's in the talks, and I think it's been encouraged. So with time, we will get to a point where cocoa production it's like a large thing for Africa.
Very good. Now, I know you mentioned this earlier, but I would like specifically your outlook on agricultural products so far, based on what you just mentioned.
Okay, for the grains, we're saying that the prices will continue to decline. As regards the growing concerns around the coronavirus. Yeah. So for cocoa, we're expecting that at a point prices will get to stabilize, considering, yes, we're having shortfalls in production, and there's a strong demand from the Asian markets. And also for the sugar, India so we're expecting them to have like a surge in their production, but that dematerialized, so it's affecting the prices. So we're expecting that prices will continue to decline as regards that.
All right. On that note, NWACHUKWU Marvellous, Financial Derivatives, I'd like to thank you for your thoughts on those issues. Good to have you.
All right. Thank you very much.